This has challenged my faith more than just about anything else in my life.
Walk through it.
Sitting
Know what paragraph was. What you talking about?
Thank you for taking time to listen to this interview as I get a chance to sit down and talk to some great writers, some great Christians, see what God is doing in their lives. Hello everyone, it's Michael Furlonger here, author and founder of ChristianWritersBookstore.com. The link will be in the description below. I'm working on a new project where I get to sit down and talk with authors, see how God called them to write, what else they're working on, other parts of ministry they're doing for the glory of God. Today we have Crystal Daye, the author of several different books, focusing on how to find your purpose, your value. She does a lot of speaking engagements, preaching, conferences, and a lot of services, which I will allow her to share in this video. So here she is. Hello, Crystal. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Michael. I'm so happy. One, because you're a male. So I love when male come into the space and trying to do their thing and build their platform. I'm happy again because you're a Christian and I'm able to just share my faith boldly. So thank you for sharing your platform with me.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to do it, and I'm glad that you are willing and wanting to share. So with that, can you just share a bit of your testimony and how God called you into writing and to doing what you're doing now?
Wow. So I'm gonna share the short story. But so I got baptized in about 2009. After I always tell people after a breakup, so I was dating two persons at the same time. They both kind of found out and dumped me. And I was so heartbroken. I just went, I tell them I went into the arms of Jesus, right? To heal my broken heart. But when I got baptized, it didn't last very long because I didn't have the foundation. I did not let go of a lot of the things that I was doing. So for many years, I was 1 foot in the world, 1 foot out. I even got pregnant about 2 years after that in church. So you can understand that, that disappointment, just feeling like you're disappointing God, but also, disappointing others. But I tell people that God really worked that out for my good, because I really do believe I had a daughter, and I really do believe that she was an inspiration for me really running back to God wholeheartedly. So that was in January 2014, I officially decided that I am going to just be a Jesus girl. Seek the Lord for my purpose more, just seek him for his direction. Now, how did I get into writing? Now, I've always been a writer. From a little girl, a lot of little girls, we keep diaries, we keep journals from, young. Now, somewhere in 2014, just seeking the Lord about my purpose, just seeking the Lord about his plans for my life, he started to convict my heart to share my story on social media. So I'm big on social media. So I started to share testimonies, I started to share encouragement. And from those testimonies on social media, I felt led to start a blog. And I started to blog, and the blog kind of just blew up, as people just saw transparently my journey from, I tell people from promiscuity to purpose, and somewhere in there in 2014, the Lord placed it on the heart of a pastor to invite me to come to his congregation and to share my testimony. And I was almost tricked, because he said, come and share my testimony. And a few weeks before, he called and said, the Lord said I should preach the message. And that was very nerve-wracking, because the church that I attended, they don't even believe that women should preach. the church that I attended, women should pray and stuff, but women are not necessarily leaders. So the idea of preaching was very, very scary. But the truth is, even in the fear, I wanted to obey God more. And like by the end of 2014, I was like a writer online. I was a speaker, which was scary, but I did it out of obedience. And in 2015, I felt like the Lord was saying, it's time for you to write a book. So that's where it began.
You shared a video with me of a bit of a testimonial video, which was actually really well done. I really liked it. About how that in Jamaica that the norm is pregnancy at 16 years. And two of your books are titled Draw Closer to God, a 31-day journal challenge for teens and young adults, and Living Royal Reality Teen Edition, which of course are centered to teens. Do you feel like your books are changing the atmosphere in Jamaica? And do you feel that people are being called back to fellowship with God?
That's a really good question. It really is a good question. No, I've always had a passion for teen girls. Actually, that's where my mentorship, the idea of mentorship and helping persons started. No, what in the community that I grew up, and there are many poverty-stricken community, or what they call projects in the US, for also call it inner city. That's the culture. As I said, sex is very liberated. It's celebrated. It's not seen as something. It's not seen as something that the Lord want. Many of us we weren't introduced to Jesus like that at a young age in the communities that I grew up. No, I don't want to say that teens are not being exposed to the gospel. Here in Jamaica, what I believe is that there's more for us as believers to do here in Jamaica. I do believe that we are still a very secular, so we are secular Christians in Jamaica. So we are considered a very Christian country. There are certain values that you find that we try to uphold as a country, but it is not on the basis of true Christianity and true surrendering to Jesus Christ. So do I feel like it's been changed? I think there's more to do. I think that's the best thing. Personally, I try to do what I can do. I'm sure that there are pastors that are doing what they can do. But at the end of the day, I do believe that there will always be a culture where teens are being exposed more to secularism, and the gospel doesn't come off very modern. It doesn't come off very appealing to a young person. So there's more. That's the best way I could answer. There's more for us to do, but we can, as believers, just try to continue to plant seed.
That's I think that's the main thing, is about planting that seed. Anyway, so now a lot of people in the secular world will see women in the Bible with this role of submissive role, but you on your website quote Proverbs 31:30, which says, "Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised." And you have a book called Empowered for Such a Time as This, answering the call to live a life of purpose and obedience. And your focus is on challenging women, women of faith. What I found is interesting is this idea of the importance of obedience. There's a lot of books on out there that talk about finding purpose and best life now and those type of things, but you really focused on obedience and obedience in Christ. Can you share a bit on that?
Michael, why I'm enjoying this interview with you? I think that you have I think I get a heart of God from you. And what I find sometimes that when I go on some interviews is more the popularity. So it's always, as you mentioned, it's about purpose and what can I do with my purpose? No, the truth is, personally, I don't believe that somebody can find their purpose outside of Christ. And there are many schools of thought that people think that you can just, purpose is writing about, purpose is speaking, purpose is coaching. But the truth is, you can do all of those things and you're not in God's will. You can do all of those things and you're doing it for the wrong reason. So are you in purpose really? Because sometimes we're operating in passion, and passion is different from purpose. No, why I stress obedience? Because guess what? With obedience, you should only obey Christ. Obedience comes from having a relationship with this all-knowing God that we serve. Obedience says that I should die so that he can live in and through me. Obedience says that even though my flesh desires this, I'm going to tell that flesh to be slain. And as John 3:30 says, that I will decrease so he can increase. So I stress obedience more because one, it requires a dying of self that sometimes is not preached as much as it should. I stress obedience because a lot of people are talking about faith and they're just doing things as they want to, and just trust that it will work out. And faith comes from hearing God. Faith comes from obeying God. And finally, I believe that at the end of the day, with obedience, even if you don't get it right all the time, even if you have made mistakes, even if, as the word says, all things are working together for my good because I love the Lord. Obedience is because I try to love the Lord. I try to submit to the Lord. So guess what? No matter what, I will always walk in purpose if I'm in obedience.
First off, thank you for the compliment. And yeah, it's like when people try to add on to I want God, but I also want a bit more of this. But yeah, true obedience will lead you to to finding more of a purpose in your life. And I don't have time to go into it, but I can just testify to the truth of that when I started turning to God and like on my knees in prayer and stuff, and reading scripture for God to be God and not for me to be me, I guess. Anyway, sorry, I ramble off like that.
No. And that's why I said I appreciate this interview and I want you to share, because this interview will be shared with my followers also, and I want them to hear your testimony. So while you're interviewing me, the interviewer in me wants to hear, your take also. So yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. So anyway, so you're not just a writer. Your website is full, and your website will be in the description below. But you help Christian writers. You help with I don't know if it's Christian coaching or coaching in general. And a quote is that ministry leaders build profitable brands and businesses without compromising their faith. Is that an issue that Christian authors and businessmen and businesswomen should be a bit cautious of?
I really do believe that there are two sides to the spectrum. You have some Christians that don't believe, I would not build a brand. I'm not trying to build a brand. I'm building God's kingdom. And while we do that, the truth is understanding that branding is how people see you. And no matter how you want to put it as a Christian or Christianize it, branding is still you're still branding yourself when you speak. You're still branding yourself when you put yourself out there, whether you are want to accept it or not. You are building a brand. Now, if you know that, guess what? I'm building a brand and understanding the concept of branding, then guess what? It means that you are now even more conscious with the things that you put out, the things that you are standing for. Now, what you find is that a lot of persons, and this is why you have the extreme, and then you have the persons that are Christians, but nobody knows that they're Christians. And while I do believe that your walk with Christ is personal, the truth is the Bible tells us that we are the salt of the earth. So it means that if I'm a believer, I should be having an impact where people will see Christ in me in some way, shape, or form. So that's the two extremes. Some people don't care about branding and they're not being conscious of how they're putting themselves out there, while some, you don't know that they're Christian. So what I desire is to help persons to find that middle thing about ensuring that they're seeking the kingdom first, and you're not doing things for likes and followers and stuff, but still being able to represent and make money with integrity, ethically, without feeling like, okay, because I'm making money as a Christian, or because I'm making money as a leader, then I sell out my soul, so I'm trying to help people to find that balance.
But is it a concern? Like, I've seen pastors who start out small, I guess, and then once they get a book deal or whatever, and they start speaking, doing like speaking engagements and stuff. Do you feel like there's a compromising of the gospel message that Christians need to be warned?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, because the Bible tells us that Satan is a prince of the air, and I always tell my authors that that the enemy will not sit back and see you do something for the kingdom and be like, yay, let Michael do this show and not give Michael some internet issues. Let Michael do this show and not give Michael some problems, some financial problems. He's going to always attack. No, what happens is that when he can't attack, or when the attack is not as effective, then he puts us in position where our values, our Christian values, are compromised by giving us a certain deal. And remember, the Bible tells us that that there will always be temptation, and temptation is always based on our desires. So it means that we're always going to be tempted. And this is why I say that persons, a lot of us have the pride, and there are pride in me that the Lord had to reveal throughout my walk, right? Things that was presented to me that I had to say, is Christ in this, And sometimes we don't, especially when you don't have money. And you start getting money. Sometimes when you don't have a certain level of following, and then you start getting, certain big deals, then it's easier to compromise, because there is the flesh in us. There's a desire for us to, to seek. So I do believe that there is the temptation, and there is the possibility for many to water down the gospel. What we can do is pray that they will come back in the fold, and the Bible tells us that Jesus will leave the 99 and go for the one. He's always chasing after even that person's compromising, and with repentance they can come back. So, but I do believe that there needs to be somebody that's always trying to represent Christ as best as possible in the space.
Thank you for sharing that, and that actually kind of leads us into two other books that are a little bit different. They're more on the business side of things, I should say. So they're called Sell More Books, Impact More Lives, a simple book marketing handbook for new and aspiring Christian authors, and Become a Christian Life Coach, a practical handbook to acquire coaching skills and setting up your kingdom business. What can readers look forward to in these books?
All right, so the first one, I would say Become a Christian Coach. That was actually I certified. So I certified and trained Christian coaches. And I kind of just wrote that book as an handbook for the training, right? Because all the other coaching books that I bought, they were very big, you know, trying to get into a lot of definitions, and they weren't very simple. So I wanted a simple handbook. I do believe that you should still invest in the textbooks and stuff, but I just wanted a simple handbook for the newbie and emerging Christian authors to kind of, okay, you know, this I can start here then. Because sometimes as a coach, you're like, I'm so overwhelmed by information. Where do I start? So it's just simple for you to know where to start. Similarly, so I've been a publisher full-time since January 2017. So I've assisted over 150 authors to birth their books. Many have become bestsellers. Many have become, you know, TV stars, podcasters. You know, I help people to birth brands, right? So not just write books. I help them to birth their brand. Now, this marketing handbook, again, similarly, marketing is overwhelming. Marketing a book is even more difficult because books are being published, you know, on a daily basis. So again, I try to just put together, I'm very practical. I'm a practical Christian. I'm a practical business owner, and I know how to simplify things so people can understand. So again, it's just a simple handbook so that you can know where to start, give you some prompts, and give you some ideas on how to market your book. So those, as you said, were birthed from the business aspect of what I do.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. I know a lot of the authors on Christian Writers Bookstore, they ask me these questions, and I'm like, I don't know, but I'm definitely glad that you were able to share with us on that. Do you have anything else you want to just throw out there, Crystal?
I think because we're talking, a lot of your audience might be authors, Christian authors, writers, or even aspiring authors, right? I think I just feel led to just share with them that one, I would say one, always do a self-check in terms of asking yourself, what does success mean for me? Because the truth is, some of us will have big platforms and some of us will not have the biggest platform. Will you get discouraged if you are not getting as much book sales? And it's fine to get discouraged, especially if you believe in your heart that this is a message that God has placed on your heart. But at the end of the day, remember who you're doing it for. Define success God's way, not how the world says it. So if you don't ever become a New York Times bestseller, if one person is blessed by your book, then you are getting a reward in heaven. And really and truly, that's the reward that counts. But, which goes to my second point. So one would be define success for yourself or define success God's way. Secondly, be confident in the message that God has given you, right? Yes, there are many books out there on the topics that you want to write on, but your perspective is different. Michael right now is doing a YouTube videos to help authors to put their message out there. There are many platforms that are doing that, but here's what: his unique perspective will always be different. His value will always be different. So similarly with your book and your message, believe in what God has called you to share and believe that it can impact someone. The last thing that I would say is that understand that you must invest. The people of the world are investing to ensure that their message gets out there. This is why you see them spending the money to boost Instagram posts, or they're spending the money to get on certain platforms with bigger influence. As believers, yes, trust God for the increase. Trust God that He says that when you're faithful with little, He will bless you with much. But as a believer, still remember that you're representing the kingdom. So whatever you do, do it in excellence and professionalism and integrity. So it means that as a believer and you want to write a book, get a professional headshot done, not a selfie. Get a professional book cover done, and don't just use a Canva free cover. I understand that money is very limited for many scarce resource. I understand. But believe me, God is a provider. Put the vision to him, right? Look, search for other resources, get help, but understand that anything you do for the kingdom will last. It will last. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I hope that this is beneficial to all authors, not just Christian authors, but hopefully all authors will become Christian authors. Anyway, but yeah, just thank you for taking the time. I hope that we keep in touch with any other books that you might be doing in the future. And it has just been a great blessing to talk with you today. And to anyone listening, I hope you have a good day, and God bless. Bye now. Hey guys, thank you for being with us. I hope you enjoyed this interview. If you'd like to support the author or support ChristianWritersBookstore.com, the link will be in the description below. Also, if you'd like to get some merchandise like this shirt, ChristianWritersBookstore.com, shirts, mugs, we got a whole bunch of stuff. Feel free to check out the merchandise section on the website. Alright, I hope you guys have a good day. God bless. Bye now.